Have you ever felt drained after an interaction with someone who seems to thrive on negativity? Toxic people can infiltrate our lives, leaving us questioning our self-worth and peace of mind. But what if you could turn the tables? Imagine approaching these challenging relationships with the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, empowering yourself to navigate the chaos with resilience and grace. In this video, we'll explore 13 clever ways to handle toxic people, drawing on ancient wisdom to reclaim your emotional well-being and foster healthier connections. Get ready to transform your interactions and take control of your life. Navigating relationships with toxic individuals can feel like walking through a minefield. The emotional turmoil they create often leaves us feeling drained, confused, and questioning our self-worth. But what if the key to dealing with these toxic influences lies not in confrontation, but in understanding? The Stoics, ancient philosophers who mastered the art of emotional resilience, provide us with invaluable insights into this complex dynamic. The first step in managing toxic people is recognizing their behaviors and understanding the impact they have on our emotional landscape. Toxicity can manifest in various forms: manipulation, constant criticism, passive aggressiveness, or even outright hostility. These behaviors often stem from the toxic individual's unresolved issues, insecurities, or fears. It's crucial to remember that their negativity is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a projection of their inner chaos. When we internalize their toxic words, we unknowingly give them power over us. This is where the teachings of Stoicism come into play. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius emphasize the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. We cannot control the actions or words of toxic individuals, but we can control our reactions to them. This realization is empowering. By shifting our focus inward, we reclaim our emotional autonomy. Instead of allowing toxic behavior to dictate our feelings, we can choose to respond with clarity and strength. A key Stoic principle is to view external events as neutral. It's our judgments about them that cause suffering. This perspective allows us to detach emotionally from toxic interactions, recognizing that we have the power to define our emotional responses. Understanding the nature of toxicity also involves acknowledging the subtle ways it can infiltrate our lives. Often, toxic individuals don't come at us with overt aggression. Instead, they may employ more insidious tactics, such as guilt trips or backhanded compliments. These subtle manipulations can be challenging to identify and even harder to counteract. However, by cultivating awareness of these patterns, we can prepare ourselves to respond effectively. The journey of handling toxic people begins with this foundational understanding. It's about seeing their behavior for what it truly is and recognizing that we are not responsible for their emotional state. By grounding ourselves in Stoic philosophy, we can develop a mindset that allows us to navigate these challenging relationships with grace and resilience. The next chapter will delve deeper into practical strategies for setting boundaries, a crucial step in reclaiming our emotional space. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful tools in dealing with toxic individuals. Boundaries are not walls that shut others out. Rather, they are protective barriers that preserve our emotional health and well-being. In the realm of Stoic philosophy, boundaries align with the concept of self-governance and personal responsibility. When we establish clear limits, we assert our right to determine how we engage with others, especially those who may drain our energy or undermine our confidence. The first step in setting boundaries is self-awareness. We must understand our emotional triggers and recognize when a relationship becomes toxic. This requires honest reflection on our feelings and experiences. Ask yourself, how does this person make me feel? Do I often feel anxious, drained, or undervalued in their presence? Identifying these feelings is crucial because they signal the need for boundaries. Once we have clarity on our emotional landscape, we can begin to communicate our boundaries effectively. This may involve direct conversations where we express our needs and limits clearly. For instance, if a friend frequently criticizes your choices, you might say, "I appreciate your concern, but I need you to respect my decisions without judgment." Effective communication is key. It's important to be assertive yet respectful. Stoicism teaches us to remain calm and composed, even in challenging conversations. When we approach boundary setting with a clear mind and a steady demeanor, we reduce the likelihood of escalating conflict. It's also essential to remember that not everyone will respond positively to our boundaries. This is where the strength of our resolve comes into play. We must stand firm in our decisions, understanding that our well-being is paramount. It's not our responsibility to manage the feelings of others, especially when those feelings stem from our healthy boundaries. Additionally, boundaries can take various forms: emotional, physical, and time-related. Emotional boundaries involve protecting ourselves from negative comments or behaviors, while physical boundaries pertain to personal space. Time-related boundaries might include limiting interactions with toxic individuals to preserve our energy. As we implement these boundaries, it's crucial to practice self-compassion. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if we're used to accommodating others at our own expense. However, it's important to remind ourselves that prioritizing our well-being is not selfish. It's necessary for maintaining healthy relationships. In the context of Stoic philosophy, this aligns with the idea of self-care as a duty to ourselves. As we navigate the process of boundary setting, we also cultivate resilience. Each time we assert our limits, we reinforce our self-worth and remind ourselves that we deserve respect. In the next chapter, we will explore the concept of emotional neutrality and how it can serve as a shield against toxic behavior, allowing us to maintain our inner peace amidst external chaos. Emotional neutrality is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and an essential skill in dealing with toxic individuals. It involves maintaining a balanced emotional state, regardless of external circumstances. When we embrace emotional neutrality, we create a buffer against the negativity that toxic people often project. This doesn't mean suppressing our feelings. Rather, it's about observing our emotions without being overwhelmed by them. The Stoics taught that our emotional responses are often based on our judgments and interpretations of events. By recognizing that we have the power to choose how we respond, we can cultivate a mindset of detachment. For instance, when faced with criticism from a toxic person, instead of reacting defensively or taking it personally, we can pause and reflect. We might ask ourselves, is this criticism valid? Does it serve my growth? This reflective approach allows us to sift through the noise and focus on what truly matters. Practicing emotional neutrality requires mindfulness and self-awareness. Techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, or journaling can help us stay grounded. When we feel our emotions rising in response to a toxic interaction, taking a moment to breathe deeply can create space for clarity. This practice helps us respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Additionally, it's important to remember that we cannot control how others behave, but we can control our perceptions. By reframing our thoughts, we can mitigate the impact of toxic behavior. For example, if a colleague undermines your ideas, instead of viewing it as a personal attack, you might see it as their insecurity manifesting. This shift in perspective reduces the emotional weight of the interaction, allowing us to maintain our peace. Emotional neutrality also fosters resilience. When we detach our self-worth from the opinions of toxic individuals, we become less susceptible to their influence. This resilience empowers us to navigate difficult relationships with grace. However, achieving emotional neutrality is a practice that takes time. It's essential to be patient with ourselves as we develop this skill. Each encounter with a toxic person is an opportunity to practice and refine our ability to remain centered. As we cultivate emotional neutrality, we will find that toxic interactions lose their power over us. In the next chapter, we will explore the importance of self-reflection and how it can deepen our understanding of our emotional responses to toxic people. Self-reflection is a vital practice in the journey of handling toxic individuals. It allows us to gain insight into our emotional responses and behaviors, fostering personal growth and resilience. In the context of Stoic philosophy, self-reflection is a tool for understanding our thoughts and actions, enabling us to live more intentionally. When we encounter toxicity, it's easy to become reactive, allowing negative emotions to cloud our judgment. Self-reflection encourages us to step back and examine our feelings and reactions. Ask yourself, what triggered my emotional response? Why did I react that way? This process of inquiry helps us identify patterns in our interactions with toxic people. For instance, if you find yourself consistently feeling anxious after conversations with a particular individual, reflecting on those feelings can reveal underlying issues. Perhaps their behavior reminds you of past experiences or taps into insecurities you hold. Understanding these triggers not only empowers us to respond more effectively, but also helps us develop strategies to mitigate their impact. Journaling can be a powerful tool for self-reflection. Taking time to write down your thoughts and feelings after an encounter with a toxic person allows you to process your emotions more clearly. It also provides an opportunity to identify recurring themes in your interactions. Through this practice, you may discover that certain behaviors consistently affect your emotional state. Recognizing these patterns enables you to set more effective boundaries and develop coping strategies. Additionally, self-reflection fosters self-compassion. It reminds us that everyone has flaws and that our emotional responses are part of being human. By treating ourselves with kindness, we create a safe space for growth and healing. In the context of Stoicism, this aligns with the idea of accepting our imperfections while striving for improvement. Self-reflection also encourages us to consider the motivations of toxic individuals. Often, their behavior stems from their struggles and insecurities. By understanding this, we can cultivate empathy, which can help us detach emotionally from their negativity. This doesn't mean excusing their behavior. Rather, it allows us to view them through a lens of compassion. As we engage in self-reflection, we build a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationships. This awareness equips us with the tools to navigate toxic interactions with greater ease. In the next chapter, we will delve into the importance of surrounding ourselves with positive influences and how this can fortify our emotional resilience against toxicity. The company we keep plays a significant role in our emotional well-being, especially when dealing with toxic individuals. Surrounding ourselves with positive influences can act as a protective shield against negativity, fostering an environment where we can thrive. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of community and the impact of relationships on our character. When we engage with uplifting, supportive individuals, we cultivate a sense of belonging and resilience. Positive influences can take many forms: friends, family, mentors, or even communities with shared values. These relationships provide encouragement, validation, and a sense of safety. When we are surrounded by people who uplift us, we are less likely to internalize the negativity of toxic individuals. This support system acts as a buffer, reminding us of our worth and helping us maintain our emotional balance. One effective strategy for cultivating positive influences is to evaluate our current relationships. Are there individuals in your life who consistently drain your energy or undermine your confidence? If so, it may be time to reassess those connections. This doesn't mean we need to cut ties completely, but rather we should be mindful of the time and emotional investment we allocate to these relationships. Additionally, actively seeking out positive influences can be transformative. Engage with people who inspire you, challenge you to grow, and celebrate your successes. These interactions can reignite your passion and drive, making it easier to navigate the challenges posed by toxic individuals. Participating in activities or communities aligned with your interests can also introduce you to like-minded individuals who uplift you. Whether it's joining a book club, attending workshops, or participating in volunteer work, these experiences can expand your network of positive influences. Furthermore, positive influences can also come from literature, podcasts, and online communities. Engaging with content that inspires and motivates you can reinforce your resilience. Stoic texts, self-help books, and motivational speakers can offer valuable insights and strategies for dealing with toxicity. As we cultivate positive influences, it's essential to remember that we also have a role to play in uplifting others. By being a source of positivity and support, this reciprocal relationship fosters a sense of community and belonging, which can be incredibly empowering. In the next chapter, we will explore the significance of practicing gratitude and how it can shift our perspective, even in the face of toxicity. Practicing gratitude is a powerful antidote to negativity and an essential practice in managing toxic relationships. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack or what is wrong in our lives to what we appreciate and value. This shift in perspective aligns beautifully with Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to find contentment in the present moment and to focus on what is within our control. When dealing with toxic individuals, it's easy to become consumed by their negativity, allowing it to overshadow the positive aspects of our lives. However, cultivating gratitude creates a mental buffer against this toxicity. One effective way to practice gratitude is through daily reflection. Take a moment each day to acknowledge the things you are thankful for, whether it's supportive friends, a fulfilling job, or even small joys like a warm cup of coffee. This practice can be formalized through journaling or simply taking mental notes throughout the day. By consciously recognizing the positives in our lives, we train our minds to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. Additionally, expressing gratitude to others can strengthen our relationships and foster a sense of connection. When we take the time to acknowledge the contributions of those who uplift us, we reinforce positive interactions. A simple thank you note or a verbal expression of appreciation can go a long way in nurturing supportive relationships. Practicing gratitude also helps us develop resilience in the face of adversity. When we encounter toxic individuals, reminding ourselves of the positive aspects of our lives can mitigate the emotional impact of their negativity. This practice allows us to maintain perspective and prevents us from internalizing the toxicity. Furthermore, gratitude can enhance our overall well-being. Research has shown that individuals who regularly practice gratitude experience lower levels of stress and anxiety, improved mood, and greater life satisfaction. By focusing on what we appreciate, we cultivate a positive mindset that can counteract the effects of toxic interactions. In the context of Stoicism, gratitude aligns with the idea of acceptance. We learn to appreciate what we have and to find joy in the present moment, regardless of external circumstances. As we cultivate a grateful mindset, we build emotional resilience that empowers us to navigate toxic relationships with greater ease. In the next chapter, we will explore the importance of emotional detachment and how it can serve as a protective mechanism against toxicity. Emotional detachment is a vital skill in managing toxic relationships, allowing us to protect our emotional well-being while interacting with difficult individuals. This concept does not imply a lack of empathy or care. Rather, it involves creating a healthy distance from the emotional turmoil that toxic people often bring into our lives. In Stoic philosophy, emotional detachment is closely linked to the idea of maintaining inner peace amidst external chaos. When we detach emotionally, we free ourselves from the need to react to every provocation. This practice begins with awareness. Recognizing when a toxic individual is attempting to provoke a reaction is the first step in cultivating detachment. For example, if a colleague frequently makes snide remarks, instead of responding defensively, we can choose to observe the behavior without becoming emotionally entangled. This requires practice and self-discipline, as our instinct may be to react impulsively. One effective technique for developing emotional detachment is visualization. Imagine creating a protective barrier around yourself that shields you from negativity. This mental exercise can help you maintain a sense of calm and clarity, even in challenging interactions. Additionally, reframing our thoughts can aid in emotional detachment. Instead of viewing a toxic person's behavior as a direct attack, we can remind ourselves that their actions stem from their own issues and insecurities. This shift in perspective allows us to respond with compassion rather than anger, reducing the emotional weight of the interaction. Practicing mindfulness is another valuable tool for fostering emotional detachment. Mindfulness encourages us to stay present and aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we can observe our emotional responses to toxic behavior without becoming overwhelmed. This awareness allows us to choose how to respond rather than reacting out of habit. Emotional detachment also involves setting clear boundaries, as we discussed in a previous chapter. By establishing limits on how we engage with toxic individuals, we create a protective space that allows us to maintain our emotional equilibrium. It's essential to remember that emotional detachment is a skill that takes time to develop. Be patient with yourself as you practice this technique. Each interaction with a toxic person is an opportunity to refine your ability to detach emotionally. As we cultivate emotional detachment, we empower ourselves to navigate toxic relationships with resilience and grace. In the next chapter, we will discuss the significance of self-care and how prioritizing our well-being can fortify us against toxicity. Self-care is an essential component of maintaining emotional well-being, especially when dealing with toxic individuals. It involves prioritizing our physical, emotional, and mental health, allowing us to build resilience against negativity. In the context of Stoic philosophy, self-care aligns with the principle of self-governance. We have a responsibility to care for ourselves in order to navigate life's challenges effectively. When we engage with toxic people, our emotional energy can become depleted. This makes self-care even more crucial. It's essential to carve out time for activities that rejuvenate and nourish us. This can include physical exercise, pursuing hobbies, spending time in nature, or simply enjoying moments of solitude. Engaging in these activities allows us to recharge our emotional batteries, making it easier to handle the challenges posed by toxic individuals. Additionally, self-care involves cultivating a healthy mindset. This includes practicing self-compassion and acknowledging that it's okay to feel overwhelmed at times. Toxic interactions can take a toll on our self-esteem, and it's important to remind ourselves that we are worthy of love and respect, regardless of how others behave. One effective self-care strategy is to establish a routine that includes mindfulness practices. Techniques such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, or yoga can help center our minds and promote emotional balance. These practices enable us to cultivate a sense of calm, making it easier to navigate difficult relationships. Furthermore, surrounding ourselves with supportive people is a vital aspect of self-care. Positive relationships provide encouragement and validation, reinforcing our sense of self-worth. When we have a strong support system, we are better equipped to withstand the emotional impact of toxic individuals. It's also important to recognize when we need to take a step back from toxic relationships. This may involve limiting contact with certain individuals or even cutting ties altogether if their behavior is consistently harmful. Prioritizing our well-being is not selfish. It's a necessary act of self-preservation. In the context of Stoicism, self-care aligns with the idea of focusing on what is within our control. We cannot change the behavior of toxic individuals, but we can control how we respond and how we care for ourselves. As we prioritize self-care, we reinforce our emotional resilience, empowering us to navigate toxic relationships with greater ease. In the next chapter, we will explore the role of assertiveness in handling toxic individuals and how it can help us communicate our needs effectively. Assertiveness is a crucial skill in managing toxic individuals and communicating our needs effectively. It involves expressing our thoughts, feelings, and boundaries clearly and confidently, without aggression or passivity. In the realm of Stoic philosophy, assertiveness aligns with the principle of self-respect and the recognition of our inherent worth. When dealing with toxic people, assertiveness empowers us to stand our ground and advocate for ourselves. One of the first steps in developing assertiveness is to understand our rights in relationships. We have the right to express our feelings, set boundaries, and seek respect. Recognizing these rights helps us approach interactions with confidence. It's essential to practice clear and direct communication. When addressing toxic behavior, use I statements to express how their actions affect you. For example, instead of saying, "You always criticize me," you might say, "I feel hurt when my efforts are dismissed." This approach focuses on your feelings and encourages constructive dialogue. Assertiveness also requires us to be aware of our body language and tone of voice. Maintaining eye contact, using a steady tone, and adopting an open posture convey confidence and reinforce our message. It's important to practice assertiveness in low-stakes situations to build our confidence. Start with small interactions, gradually working your way up to more challenging conversations. This practice helps us develop the skills necessary to address toxic behavior effectively. Additionally, it's essential to prepare for potential pushback from toxic individuals. They may respond defensively or attempt to manipulate us into abandoning our assertiveness. In these moments, Remember that your feelings and boundaries are valid. Stay calm and reiterate your position if necessary. Stoicism teaches us to remain composed in the face of adversity. By practicing assertiveness, we reinforce our self-worth and cultivate a sense of agency in our relationships. It's also important to remember that assertiveness is not about winning arguments. It's about fostering healthy communication. Approach conversations with the intention of finding common ground rather than seeking to win.